one. So the playoffs and play-in are officially set. The Lakers will take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Got the Pelicans, who lost to Minnesota, even after Minnesota completely imploded, which we'll touch on here in a moment. They end up playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Lakers get the first win. Get it done, beat Minnesota. You're in LA, you're at home, and then you have your matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies. But more importantly than anything, you get 4 days rest, which would be so huge, so crucial for this Los Angeles Lakers team. The Eastern Conference has been locked up for some time. We'll see who wins those, but I think Miami and Chicago likely win those matchups. And then we will see who comes out the East. The Lakers, if you get the 7 seed, you play Memphis. After Memphis, you're playing the matchup against the Kings and the Warriors. I think you can win either of those matchups, and then you'd end up playing one of the Clippers, Suns, or very likely Denver Nuggets, unless they have some implosion in the first round, which I don't see. But regardless, Lakers have to do their job, right? The play-in tournament begins this Tuesday, April 11th. The Lakers and the Timberwolves will play off at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I cannot wait for that. Probably watch both games. Why not? Watch Miami and Atlanta take on each other and see who wins that. But primarily, of course, the Lakers and the Timberwolves. Again, Lakers need to get that job done. Timberwolves matchup. I think that this is a great matchup, right? Especially without Rudy Gobert and McDaniels, which, again, we'll touch on those two here shortly. But even with those two, I still believe that we can get the job done. You have guys in Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell, who are all very familiar, and we're just in a play-in game with the Minnesota Timberwolves last season. So these are guys that are very familiar, that got the job done with Minnesota, and now they're facing off to play the Timberwolves and get the job, right? D'Angelo Russell, I expect big things for him, right? He's playing against his former team. He's going to want to show up. He's going to want to ball out. Got to contain Mike Conley. Mike Conley turned into Isaiah Thomas and just dominated us last time. I need to do a better job guarding that. We did win that game, but still, you got to do a better job defending him. Obviously, you don't want Anthony Edwards getting going. You need to do your best to guard him. In my opinion, especially if they don't have Rudy Gobert and they don't have McDaniels, I would go Reeves on Mike Conley, then go Jared Vanderbilt immediately on Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards struggled against Vanderbilt last time. Try to lock him down. You're not going to stop him entirely, but just to make things difficult, put that on him. Then you have Cat and Anthony Davis as the matchup, and then put LeBron on whoever the 4 is that they start, and then put D'Angelo Russell on the 3, whoever it is that they start, because I don't see them, very likely it'll be Kyle Anderson at the 3. I think D'Lo can kind of hold his own. Could have a little bit of a mismatch there, but I'd rather Kyle Anderson go off for 20 than Anthony Edwards going off for 40 or Mike Conley going off for 30. I think that would be a lot more impactful. If Kyle Anderson can dominate that matchup, we'll take our chances there. But also, if Rudy plays, you have Rudy as a matchup against Karl Anthony Towns. We saw that as a great matchup for the Lakers. Rudy, with his size and just strength, he wasn't able to get bullied by Karl Anthony Towns. So that would be nice. And that could also be a nice adjustment come, say, they try to move Anthony Davis out of the paint, right? Because with Rudy Gobert, you don't have to worry about him exiting the paint, right? He's going to do all his damage down low, so Anthony Davis can kind of play spy down there and match up with Rudy. But if they do have Karl Anthony Towns, then what that does is Cat and his ability to knock down the 3 ball and stretch the floor, Anthony Davis is going to have to extend out, which means now you don't have him down low. So the alternative, if that becomes an issue to keep guys from getting to the paint, I would bring in Rudy and then have Rudy guard Cat out on the perimeter, keep AD down in that spy position where he can kind of just patrol and control the paint as well as get rebounds. And then, you can make that adjustments, or even LeBron James. You could probably do the same thing with LeBron James with his size and his strength. So it gives you flexibility. It gives you options there if that becomes a problem. I don't know how much it will. You could almost argue you'd rather Cat shoot 10 threes in this game unless he's just hot. You don't want that to happen. But I'd rather him shooting threes than being on the block getting points. Without Rudy Gobert, they're going to struggle rebounding and they're going to struggle shot blocking, right? That's why they went and got Rudy, right? Because the Timberwolves really struggled rebounding the ball and defending in the paint, blocking shots, stuff like that. Karl Anthony Towns isn't that guy. So be aggressive, be physical, attack the basket, and live with the results. I think the Lakers can absolutely cause some mismatches and some issues, especially without McDaniels, because McDaniels is far and away their best defender. And he was giving LeBron some fits in the last time they play, just because of his size, his length, his speed, all of that stuff. He's one of the better, if not arguably the best perimeter defenders in the league. So he is massive, and it's going to be beneficial to not have him in as well as Rudy. And speaking of, Rudy Gobert thought it was a great idea to try to punch Kyle Anderson. They have to suspend him now. Now, they sent him home, and he, based on what Mike Conley recently said, that Rudy basically left like a group chat to everyone saying he's sorry. But this just goes in, this is who Rudy is, right? Like, he's a knucklehead. He does stuff like this regularly. I mean, Utah couldn't believe that that they were offered the package they were offered for Rudy. Like, people weren't really trying to throw the kitchen sink to try to acquire Rudy Gobert. I mean, this was the problem that they had in Utah, right? Him just doing bonehead things and like the whole COVID thing where he's like rubbing his hands all over the microphones and everything, just doing dumb stuff, right? And this just showed once again, I don't know why Minnesota went and got Rudy to begin with, right? I mean, seriously, Minnesota was really good, really deep, really young, and really talented. All they had to do was stay the course, maybe make a slight few changes. I like the Mike Conley acquisition because it gave you a veteran presence, gave you some veteran leadership. It gave you a guy that, can be a leader. So, I mean, you could have went and done that. You could have still went and got and acquired Mike Conley and then just go make a trade to go get another wing 3-and-D guy, but you would have had Vanderbilt still, right? Like, imagine if you had Vanderbilt, McDaniels, Karl Anthony Towns, Mike Conley, and Anthony Edwards. Like, you would have been much better this year. And you still would have had, like, Beasley, and it just didn't make a lot of sense to me why they went and got Rudy Gobert, because it just kind of neutralized everybody. It made Karl Anthony Towns become a 6'8", 3-and-D shooter without the D. Right? It just made everything really awkward, and it kind of neutralized Anthony Edwards, so he can't be as explosive at the rim. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And now Rudy's over here, fighting with Kyle Anderson, which I like the Kyle Anderson acquisition. Like, you still could have went and got Kyle Anderson. Imagine if you had Anderson, Vanderbilt, McDaniel. Like, you would have had such a nice young core that you could have just built upon and just improved every year. But they tried to expedite it, got Rudy, and now they're just in a terrible position. But the Lakers have to handle business, right? And speaking of McDaniels, he thought it was a great idea to go punch a wall. And guess what? The wall's undefeated. He ends up fracturing, breaking his hand. And just, I understand emotions are high. I understand that, people are, are just feeling a certain type of way with the outcome that they were going up against in the Pelicans game. But look, you won that game. And you did it without those two, but it would have been nice to have those two because now you got to go play the Lakers on the road. I mean, from, our standpoint, Lakers Nation standpoint, and just us as fans, like, we're excited because it's like, great. Now we don't have to worry about their best perimeter defender who can also knock down the three ball, and we don't have to worry about their best shot blocker and interior defender. Like, those are two things that are just massive for the Lakers. And they have to suspend Rudy Gobert, right? Like, that was the whole reason, like, even the Draymond Green thing. The reason the Warriors had Draymond and handled everything internally is because they didn't want the NBA to get involved. If they don't suspend Rudy, the NBA is going to get involved. And then you might not have him for the playoffs, right? So you're going to have to sit him in that Laker game and then maybe try to bring him back in the Pelicans or OKC matchup, assuming you don't beat the Lakers, which the Lakers should win that matchup. Lakers should win this one game. You have LeBron, you have AD, get it done, right? But it's just, the Minnesota just did everything they could to shoot themselves in the foot. They lost Naz Reid, Not because of a knucklehead thing. He just, he just bad circumstances, right? So they were already thin, and now you just made it even worse on yourself. So now they're going to be small. They're going to be, because that was their big thing, their length, their size, all of that stuff, the mismatches that they had, the defense, all of that. And now they're not going to have a lot of that. So if you're the Lakers, you need to capitalize. You need to exploit that. You need to do what you need to do to get this job done. Go out and win this game, right? Again, Anthony Davis, we need to see that dominant Anthony Davis. Last time these two teams played, we saw that dominant Anthony Davis, and that was against Rudy and Cat. He dominated both of those guys, and in that matchup, we need that. Playoff AD is playoff AD, and we need to see playoff AD. A lot of people like to criticize Anthony Davis, but that dude is special and is a guy that is just the ultimate mismatch and can completely dominate things. I'm not going to hold Anthony Davis to a high standard against the Utah Jazz and stuff like that when you're just trying to be healthy. You know you're going to have to be in the play-in. You know you're going to have a matchup. Why try to kill yourself just to win against the Utah Jazz's bench? I don't really knock him for doing that, right? But if he goes into that Timberwolves game and Karl Anthony Towns is his matchup and he doesn't absolutely abuse and exploit that, then I'll have a little bit of a problem. Unless we're just like shooting the lights out and just dominating them, then okay, fine. Keep AD healthy, right? If we win by 20 and AD only has 10 and 10, I don't care, right? But very likely we're going to need to establish and get AD going early. We're going to need him to be his dominant self. We're going to need him rebounding, his defense, his shot blocking, all of that stuff. If he can get that and we can get him being the best player on the planet like we've seen him be able to be, then I have no concerns or doubts that we win this series, this matchup, right? And then go up against the Memphis Grizzlies. And if he plays that way against the Memphis Grizzlies, I absolutely believe that we win that matchup. I really do. Dominant Anthony Davis is the best player on the planet because he's 7 foot and you just have no way to stop him, right? When his middies go in and he's aggressive and he's attacking the basket and he's blocking shots and he's rebounding, you can't stop that guy. It's just impossible. So when he's playing at that level, which we need him to do, and we need to get him going early. LeBron James has got to pick it up. LeBron James needs to play like playoff LeBron. We saw him. He was great in that Utah game. Shot a ton of threes, 14, but he hit him. He was 8 of 14, which he's really picked up the three-point shooting. Hopefully that continues and continues to be a trend come this play-in and the playoffs, right? Because that just opens up so much more. But I don't want him to fall in love with it. You know what I mean? I don't mind him shooting a handful of threes a game just in the flow of the offense. If he can go 3 of 5 from 3 or something like that, great. But I want him to be in attack mode, be aggressive, put your head down, be the best player in the world, be the ultimate mismatch, be a guy that nobody can stop. These two guys are still the 2 top 10 players and the best duo in the league when they're both playing to their level and to their standard. And I expect both of them to come out and do that. I expect both LeBron James and Anthony Davis to come out, ball out, and be the guys that we need them to be. This is going to be a very important game. You need the rest. We can't play like we did against Utah and against Phoenix with their bench and stuff. Look, I don't really put too much into it. I don't really knock it too much. I mean, look at the Clippers. Clippers almost lost to that same Phoenix team without the starters and the bench. Phoenix almost lost to Denver with the bench, right? Denver lost to the Jazz with all their starters, and the Utah played their bench. It happens, right? Bench guys show up. They love to play because this is the most opportunity that they usually get. It's how it works in the NBA. Teams play down to their competition. Lakers especially, they're just trying to get healthy. They're not trying to kill themselves to go win a game. You saw no real defensive intensity. You saw guys not really being super aggressive. It was just kind of in the flow of the game, just knocking down, trying to get their reps in and stuff, trying to get their chemistry built and their legs under them. But that's it. Now you're in the play-in. Now it's go time. You don't have time to fill stuff out. You don't have time to play games. You need to lock in, get the job done, go win this play-in game, get your rest, get ready for that Memphis Grizzlies matchup, and let's go. It's that simple. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it. And let's, really make some noise. We went from a team that was 2-10 that had no chance of even being in the play-in, let alone the playoffs. I mean, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were still the 13th seed, and there were questions of, can we actually do this? And since the trade, we have the best overall record. We've been the best team in the West, front to back. We have a top defense, a top offense, guys healthy, full roster. We just signed 2 new players, which I'll do a video later tonight diving into that, so stay tuned for that. It's remarkable, right? The turnaround and the change that we have with this team and with this roster. Let's go make some noise. Let's go win this play-in, win the first round of the playoffs, get into the second round, whoever that is, Warriors, Kings, whomever. Let's smack them. Let's get into the Western Conference and then take our chances. Let's do it. This team is more than talented enough, more than gifted enough, have more than enough depth. We can do it. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Think Lakers do it? Think they get it done? Do you think they don't? Whatever you feel, however you feel.